was a shooting involving members of the department when they attempted to apprehend an extremely dangerous and violent offender on parole, released yesterday for committing a crime, attempted several crimes this morning. And men like him, dangerous offenders like him, are on the streets of our city because of the action of the reform that Andrew signed into law. And so when you were calling around to my staff saying there's the announcement today that Eric is stepping down, hell no. That cannot happen. I'm not going to leave this city to a beret-wearing carnival display. I'm not going to leave it to a person who put dangerous laws on the books that hurt us, from cannabis to bail reform to 15,000 nursing homes death. I'm not going to leave this city to someone that wants legalized prostitution on our streets. I'm not going to leave this city to someone that does not understand what it is to run a city, that went from being a rapper to an assemblyman and now wants to be the mayor of the most complex city. We've come too far to go backwards. That is not going to happen. I'm never going to quit on the city of New York. We worked too hard to get here. And to those thousands of men and women who serve this city every day, I want to tell them thank you. And one of them is that officer who fought to take a dangerous person off the streets. And so I wanted to address you because there's been a lot of questions over the last few days after the indictment of two former employees of City Hall, one DCAS and one here at City Hall. And one of them is Ingrid. Ingrid is like a sister to me. I love Ingrid. She's worked with me for over 40 years. I served as a police officer with her husband. I know her son, and I know her, and I know her heart. And she and her attorney will deal with the case that's in front of her. My prayers are with Ingrid, and I wish her the best. And throughout the number of years that I have known her, I found her to be a hardworking, dedicated member of city government for over 40 years. And with Jesse Hamilton, former state senator, former employee here, I wish him the best as well. I wish them to go through this process and allow their attorneys to do their role. And I am not going to interfere in any way with the process. Our communications with the district attorney's office indicated that in no way am I involved in any of the reviews that they're conducting in this manner. And I'm going to continue to do the job that I've done for 8.5 million people. And to New Yorkers, I'm sorry. Instead of us talking about what we have done in this city, instead of us talking about how we brought down crime, brought back jobs, put money back in the pockets of working class people, revitalized our economy, and made our city safer, we have to deal with conversations like this. But on the campaign trail, I'm going to continue to tell my story and allow you to make the right choices. I've committed my life to this city as a police officer, as a state senator, as the borough president, and now as your mayor. And we have not always gotten it right, but we have never stopped being dedicated to the people of this city. And I'm going to continue to do that as long as you allow me to do so. I want to turn it open for a few questions.
Hi, Mayor Adams. I just wanted to ask you specifically, about the case and about what the city is potentially paying for. This is a specific question. So Ingrid's lawyer says she was only trying to help her constituents navigate the city's onerous bureaucracy. But I wanted to get your take on that, since some of those constituents also allegedly bribed her with free food, home repairs, and $50,000 wired to her son. And the second question is, these are people who are very close to you, Ingrid in particular. How can you let New Yorkers know that people who are so close to you, including even your son had a movie funded by the Argentos who were arrested yesterday, how can they truly believe that you had no knowledge, no information, or no understanding, or no involvement at all in any of this? These are people who are so close to you, and it even involves your son partly.
First of all, it didn't involve my son. My son worked, he had a job at Broadway. Are you going to let me answer the question? My son was employed at Broadway Stages, and anything involving the case, you said you spoke to the attorney, speak to the attorney. I'm not talking about their case. The attorney will handle that.
Is the city paying for the legal fees of anyone who was arrested and indicted yesterday?
Speak to Corporation Counsel, not of my knowledge, but
I actually have a couple of questions. One, I wanted to ask Randy Mastro. You're a former federal prosecutor. You've prosecuted racketeering cases. You've prosecuted all kinds of things. What's your take on this case? Do you think that this goes to the heart of corruption in city government?
Thank you for asking. I'm not going to comment on the specifics of any case, but I'm not going to remain silent when ancient conduct of people who are no longer in government are being used to smear a government and a city hall and an administration which is producing every day for New Yorkers. I've stood by this mayor's side for the past 5 months. We talk every day. We talk about how to resolve issues, how to address questions. There's not a single time when he's given me a direction that wasn't in the best interests of the city. And the people who work in this building, who are so dedicated, I cannot tell you how proud I am to be their colleague. They are doing the people's work every day, and they're doing it honestly, they're doing it professionally, they're doing it productively. That's why crime is down to record lows. Jobs are up to record highs. Affordable housing being produced at unprecedented levels. That's why right across the street, Department of Education and the Chancellor producing public school student test scores higher in math and reading in every grade, every category. That's why quality of life is improving in our city. I'm not going to dwell on the past. I came here to help this mayor, this administration, this city focus on the present and the future. And the future is bright. I care about good government. I've been a federal prosecutor. I've done this job before. And the work of this administration and the people in this administration, from the mayor on down, I could not be prouder of them. So I'm not going to sit silently by and accept a characterization of how these good public servants are serving this city, because we're serving this city well and producing unprecedented results for New Yorkers. And I'm not going to let ancient history that'll play out eventually in a courtroom one way or the other be the way the work of this administration is described, because we are doing great things for New Yorkers, and we're going to continue to do that every day.
thank you.
Sort of like two questions. Number one, your opponents have obviously weighed in, and they say it's city for sale, it's Tammany Hall all over again. I wonder if you would respond to that, but also if you could answer a question about the friendly fire situation with the police officers. Do you think that the police officers broke protocol in the way they handled the case?
It's under investigation, and what we're clear on, not one shot would have been fired if the perpetrator would have been behind bars where he should have been if we did not have these major changes in our laws. And when you respond into a call of service where the preliminary reports indicated that the person was armed with a weapon, those officers don't know what they are responding to. And I thank God that they took this dangerous person off our streets. And the review will look at it. A shooting team will determine if there are any changes that should be done. But I thank God for those responding officers and how they responded. He was robbing an Uber driver who was just trying to do his job. And those officers didn't run away, they ran towards the danger.
And in terms of what your opponents have said, do you want to respond to that?
No, they're in their political season. This is what happened in the political season. There are 5 people who are in the race. 3 of them don't have a record. One of them is running away from his record. I'm the only one that has a record. And when you have a record, people can pick it apart. And as the first deputy mayor stated, it's a darn good record for this city.
Hi, Mayor.
Yes, how's it going?
Your staff confirmed they put these down. I was just wondering first why, and then second question, probably more pertinent and serious. What do you say to New Yorkers that see these recent allegations of corruption and bribery, look at the previous allegations and say this reflects poorly on your judgment, sir?
Oh, first, let me answer your first part about the whistle. Many of these women here are interviewing Andrew Cuomo, and they feel unsafe. They're going to have a whistle to help them through it, okay? That's one. 2, this is from previous investigations that is taking place. I said it then, and I'll say it again. We're going to deliver for the city as we have done, and we will continue to do.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
When you were indicted, you suggested that this was politically motivated. Is anything about these charges that you would like to also connect with that statement you made in the past? And the second question, you are running on the fact that you are tough on crime. So how do you reconcile that with these revelations when people hear about corruption, how you react to allegations?
Let me answer both of them. First, the attorneys would determine what are their beliefs on these charges and how to respond. When I've made it clear, when you're dealing with cases, respect the attorney process. They all have attorneys. Communicate with the attorneys to get their thoughts. It's not up to me to decide what the thoughts are. I'll speak with the attorneys. Tough on crime, I've always been tough on crime. From my days as a police officer, state senator, borough president, now the mayor. And the results of that toughness has proven successful. 23,000 illegal guns removed off our streets, lowest numbers of shootings and homicides in the first 6 months of this year. Our pursuit to do preventive measures with after-school programs for children, summer employment programs. We have been both proactive and reactive, and I'm always going to be tough on crime. And this is not an indicator of me not being tough on crime.
Morales. Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
Good. Could you talk a little bit about your relationship with the Argentos? I know that
sorry, with who?
the Argentos.
Okay.
You know, they've contributed to your campaigns over many years. You just said that your son Jordan worked for Broadway stages. Could you elaborate a little bit? How did he get that job? Was that something that you helped him get through the Argentos?
I am very clear with my son. My son finds his way. I'm not going to raise a son that cannot find his way. My son has been working and has been finding jobs. He has been doing what he needs to do as he reached his 30th birthday. He found his way. He went out, he interviewed. From his degree in communication, it was a perfect fit for him, and he found the job. And both Gina and her brother are wonderful people. They're great New Yorkers. They contribute in the area of their community. They give back. They're very dedicated to the people of this city. And I'm not the first elected that they supported. They've supported many electeds that they felt understood how important it is to move the city in the right direction. And my heart goes out to both of them because they are, from my interactions with them, they are beautiful people and they really care about the city of New York. And if you look at their volunteerisms, their contributions, what they've done with the 9-4 precinct in that area. They have continuously have given back.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
MJ.
There are those who will look at this, your opponents in particular, and will say, Eric Adams called the reporters here today to do damage control. Is that what this is, Mayor? Is this damage control?
No, I want to move around the city, and I don't want you following me around with the cameras in my faces and the phones in my faces. So I might as well get you all together and explain. And now all New Yorkers an explanation of what we're doing. So this is not damage control. It is about communicating with you so that I can do the business out there without you having to follow me around. You can speak to me right here.
Mayor, your re-election is being more complicated day by day. How you see your future?
Well, first of all, if you would ask those who are regularly here, they would tell you a year ago, I said this is going to be the most interesting election in the history of the city. It panned out to be true. You know, this is New York. New York is a complex place. New York is a place where any given day you can get a call. I got a call early this morning. I have an officer shot. We deal with hurricanes that hits our shores. That's why you have to be ready to do this job. In order to do this job as mayor, you can't go from rapper to assemblyman and then mayor. It's too complex. There's too many layers. Your first job, real job, should not be leading the city of New York because you have to respond to these uncertainties. And I challenge all of you, go back. The first time I had to deal with the lawfare of the federal authorities, look at what we did after that. I never wore my personal crises. I delivered for the city, City of Yes, universal after-school program, paying off medical debt for New Yorkers, removing the income tax for low-income New Yorkers. I never stopped. I've been able to deliver for the city no matter what came at me, and that's what you need to do if you're the mayor of the greatest city on the globe, New York.
Mr. Mayor,
What's up, Craig? How are you?
Doing just fine. So I understand you're not going to comment on any of the specifics in the case or go over any of those things, but I think, you know, for your employees, the New Yorkers, you know, what message does this send that you're not condemning these actions, if true, of some of these things that happened, whether it's your long-term friend Ingrid or anybody like that? Because, you know, do you believe that it's okay for somebody to cut through red tape in city government, as you're saying, just to help people out, but then simultaneously benefiting themselves? You know, what message does that send New Yorkers? And then is there anything you'd like to address with Winnie Greco this week, you know, whatever that situation is at this point, saying that she accidentally gave a bag full of cash to Katie Honan or she meant it as a gift? Did you want to comment on that at all?
Okay, first of all, the message that I'm sending. The message I'm sending is something called due process, something we all believe in, what makes our country different than other places and what makes us great. And so if you condemn someone without that due process, it's slap in the face of what our Constitution stands for. Let the due process play out. And you can communicate with their attorneys if you have some question.
I'm not looking for you to say Ingrid did this and she should be convicted. I'm just saying, like, to the people that are still working under you, everybody that Randy Mastro just praised they're doing great work here. You know, if any of these allegations, not just Ingrid, not just Jesse, all these allegations, any of these are true, when you want to condemn that, to say that you are looking to root out corruption in your administration?
First of all, you're being hypothetical, and I'm not going to do that with someone's life. And we have very, very strict guidelines on rooting out and not allowing corruption to be in our administration. And we have conflict of interest board that tells us what we could do and what we can do. Do people make mistakes in those conflict of interest board ruling? Yes. Fines are given out all the time and often when people make a mistake in what they do. That is why we have a conflict of interest board. We do training. We do all the things that we're supposed to do, and we're going to continue to do that.
Would you like to say anything on Winnie Greco?
I'm sorry?
Would you like to say anything on...
I have no idea of the communication between Winnie and the reporter involved. I don't know what conversation they have. We don't give money to reporters. I don't know anything about what took place there. We condemned that type of action if it was done for the wrong reason. I have no idea. And she's no longer able to volunteer on the campaign because that's action that the perception of it we don't agree with and I don't tolerate. No, hold on. Don't start yelling. Don't start doing all that yelling and screaming, because then I am going to bounce. We're going to take a few more questions, but I got a city to run, okay? Go ahead.
How are you? I'm wondering, do you agree with Ingrid's lawyer's characterization of the charges? He said that this was politically motivated lawfare.
I just answered that. Her lawyer represents her. I don't represent her in this case. Speak with her lawyer, and her lawyer will give you his input. I don't represent her in this case.
What do you make of the timing? Obviously, it's coming as you're seeking re-election. You've had to deal with legal challenges in the past. Do you make anything of that timing?
Well, I wake up every day and I deal with the plate that's in front of me. I don't say, woe is me. I say, why not me? I have to succeed no matter what, because I'm fighting for New Yorkers. My mother didn't wake up and say life is tough. She woke up and she delivered for our family, and that's what I'm going to do. So if the timing or non-timing doesn't matter, I got to communicate with voters, and voters are going to make the decision what direction we want to go in. Who get the next question? Next question? Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
You said you're very close to Ingrid. You've known her for 40 years, and you're also close to Jesse Hamilton, I understand, as well. So I'm wondering, the first question is, were you aware of any allegations of corruption while they were working for your administration? Did anyone raise any concerns to you about processes being wrong or favors being given? And then secondly, the second question is, both of them were very close to you. Winnie Greco was also very close to you. So I'm just wondering, how do you explain to New Yorkers the fact that these are, people that you are close to, that you trust, and that they are now facing these sort of criminal charges? And you say that doesn't reflect on you, but I'm wondering how you explain that to New Yorkers who might think that your closeness to these individuals somehow reflects on you and your judgment.
Well, first of all, yes, you're right. She is close to me, and I love her like a sister, and she's in my prayers, and her attorney will handle her case.
Were you aware of any allegations?
No, there were no complaints on her work ethic. In fact, to the contrary, people knew that she knew how to make sure that the people in the city got the services they needed. And she did that in the Senate office, in Borough President office, and here as well.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
how are you? I wanted to ask you, are you disappointed at all in Ingrid, Jesse Hamilton, or Winnie Greco's actions? And I also wanted to ask you, why should New Yorkers trust you, because this is another case, more indictments, to make sure that this isn't going to continue to happen, at least in your first term and possibly in your second term?
Well, I think New Yorkers should trust me on how I deliver for the city. I mean, you've covered me for some time. You know that we brought down crime. You know that we've helped foster care children. You know that we improved grade scores in our schools. You know we built more housing in individual years than any other mayors. You know we took 23,000 guns off the streets. You know what we're doing for foster care children, for NYCHA residents. You know what I do. They would trust me if you write about the good things I do. They'll trust me. I am fighting for New Yorkers every day, and I get up to do that. And there's going to be distractions. And New Yorkers, there are things I would have loved to have done differently, but I don't live life in my rearview mirror. I learn from those bumps in the roads and become a better, not only mayor every day, but a better human every day.
I'm being disappointed in Ingrid, Jesse Hamilton, or Winnie Greco's actions.
A due process.
Just now you said there were things that you wish you could have done differently. Looking at this particular situation, is there anything you feel personally you could have done differently?
No.
So what could you do differently then?
There's a lot of things I could do differently in life. I think all of us, everyone that's in here, could look at something they wish they would have done differently. I wish I would have spent more time with my son when he was growing up, instead of being the advocate for everything that I was doing. So there's a lot of reflection I have on my life, what I could have done differently. And anyone who don't reflect on their life and state that I wish I could have done differently, then shame on you. That means you stayed home every day in the bed. I got up every day and delivered for this city. In every role that I had, I delivered for the people of this city. I'm going to continue to do that.
Hi, Mayor.
How are you?
Good. Question again with the Argentos. The indictment says that their bribery led to the time to make any changes in response?
No. McGinnis it was a win to sit down and come to a resolution that both sides could agree on, and there will be continuous modifications of our streets. That's part of what we do. We keep modifying to get it 100% right. And from my understanding, there was a lot of conversations. There were both people on both sides of the issue, and you have to come to a middle. This is New York. In New York, every one person that wants something, there's another person that wants something differently.